What's going on, guys? I'm Dan. This is Center Waters, and today I have a review for you from the House of Parfums Vintage. But before we go any further, how about you hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and hit that bell. Now, if any of you guys know me and have been watching my videos, you guys know that I am a big-time, huge fan of Parfums Vintage, especially when it comes to the Pineapple Vintage Intense. It's actually one of my favorite fragrances in my whole collection. It's the one that I had to buy the backup bottle for the backup bottle of the backup bottle, referencing a collab that I did with my homeboy Mike from 5280 Cents and Cam from Carolina Fragrance Reviews. I'll leave a link in the description area and even in the cards. But Pineapple Vintage Intense, I've never done a review on it, and I don't know why. I've talked about it a lot, but I don't know why I'm slacking. This is actually my second or third bottle. I can't remember. As you can see, there's a big dent in this one. No, this is actually the second bottle. I've had many Aventus clones, but this one for me has worked the best. Pineapple Vintage Intense. But Parfums Vintage wanted to dabble around a little bit more, mess around, tweak things around, and they came out with Intense Gold. Why? Why would you do that? Parfums Vintage. As much as I love Pineapple Vintage Intense, and you guys had to come out with Intense Gold, I feel that it was just unfair, because I feel like this one now replaces my Pineapple Vintage Intense. Before I go any further, how about I give you the notes? For Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold, the top notes are pineapple and apple. For the mid notes, you have pineapple, bergamot, rose, and jasmine. For the base, you have patchouli, musk, ambergris, vanilla, and birch. When it comes to Pineapple Vintage Intense, the original, which honestly it's the second one because they had original Pineapple Vintage. For Pineapple Vintage Intense, it's the exact same notes. The difference is for Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold, it has more amped up pineapple and I think a few other tweaks. For the presentation of the bottle, you have this nice label on the front. It's a raised label with the pineapple on the front. It says Pineapple Vintage Intense. Wood cap, plastic on the inside. Says Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold on the bottom. Great sprayer, one of the best in my opinion when it comes to clones. Forgot to mention, Pineapple Vintage Intense is Parfums Vintage take on Aventus, but with more pineapple in it, a dominant pineapple. So when it comes to sniffing Pineapple Vintage Intense, the pineapple, very juicy, very dope. A lot of people were complaining about how it had a stinky, rotten smell at the beginning. I haven't had this, and this is my second bottle of it. I still love it. It smells very juicy. The pineapple is very prominent. It's a nice pineapple-y Aventus. Great in my opinion. One of the best. Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold, in my opinion, is very nice. Now, what upsets me about this fragrance is that it's so nice that I think it's gonna overtake my original Pineapple Vintage Intense that I love so much. And this was almost like my ride or die, but after smelling this one, I think I found a new winner. In my opinion, Pineapple and Vintage Intense Gold is dope. The pineapple in this one is very syrupy sweet, very nice, very juicy. Don't get me wrong, Pineapple and Vintage Intense Gold is still my baby, but I think this is my bae. Like, this is bae number one, this is bae number two. Sorry, Pineapple Vintage Intense is gonna have to take a back seat for a little while because Gold has just done it for me now. This one is just smells so nice and rich and resiny. I mean, not resiny as in like an amber or anything like that. It's just that the pineapple is just so syrupy sweet in my opinion. Now, the only gripe that I kind of have with this fragrance, like a true gripe, is they said that you would be less nose blind to this fragrance. Like, I know it sounded like I was joking around, but I honestly think that this is gonna overtake my Pineapple Vintage Intense. As great as that is, in my opinion, this one I feel is even more dope. This one I feel a little bit sweeter. Hold on, back up. It's a lot more sweeter when it comes to the pineapple. That Aventus vibe is still there. It's just richer in the pineapple. It's golden. It's like a golden pineapple. It's like a fully ripened pineapple to me. It's just very nice. My girlfriend loves it. My kids love it. My son loves it. When he wore, you know what? I actually sprayed this on him last week in the morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning before school. And when we got home, he played around. He sweat a lot. And when I smelled him, I gave him a hug later that day. It was around 5 o'clock. And I smelled it. I said, dude, did you just spray some of this on you? He said, no. It's the same thing you sprayed on me this morning. I said, what? Are you kidding me? Because it smelled not as juicy as beginning, but that Ventus vibe DNA was still prominent on him, especially when he passed by. His sillage was awesome. He'd run by and you get the whiff. Intense Gold honestly worked great on him. The longevity was beast mode. At that time when I smelled it on my son, it was over 10 hours and it was still strong on him. When he washed his clothes the following day, I can still smell it on his clothes. This fragrance honestly is great. On him it worked great, but I still, personally for me, my gripe, I still went anosmic to it. Almost as quick, or maybe a little bit long. It took a little bit longer, but not by much. I still went nose blind to this fragrance. I wish I could smell it throughout the day, but I know it's still there, especially after smelling it on him. My girlfriend still smells it on me at the end of the workday. I just wish I could. But that all being said, it's a great, awesome scent. The longevity is beast. The projection is 2 to 3 hours on this fragrance for me, at least, projection wise. A quick comparison when it comes to Intense and Intense Gold. Intense has more of a woody base, especially into the dry down. I guess if you were to separate the two, you can still smell more of the pineapple, but into the dry down or the base of the fragrance, it smells a lot more woody. But when it comes to Intense Gold is just sweeter. It has less of a woody vibe. It's more resiny, more pineapple-y sweet. In my opinion, this is more woody, this is more sweet and fruity. In my opinion, you can't go wrong with either. There's still top-notch fragrance. Is it kind of redundant to have them both? In my opinion, yes. They both smell the same in the air. This one might just smell a little bit sweeter. Given Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold a rating 1 out of 10, it's a 10 for me. I love it. It replaces this where it knocks this down to a 9.75. Still dope in my opinion. Before I close this out, how about a giveaway? Intense Gold sample. Got this when I purchased the fragrance. They were giving out free samples of an Emperor, Napoleon, and also Intense Gold. So Intense Gold, here's a little sample. Let me know in the comment section if you want to be entered for Intense Gold sample giveaway. Just like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section. Boom, you're in. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and hit that bell. Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold. Dope scent in my opinion. But at the end of the day, as much as it hurts for me to say this about this one, still scent the water.